like, it's always hard for me to talk about my own self sometimes, but so this has been like a lifelong struggle for me. When I was 8 years old, I climbed to the top of a tree. Just to make a long story short, the tree branch broke and I made like a free fall to the ground. I landed on my head, and so there was some brain damage in my head. And so not long after that, I think it was the very next day, I had my first grand mal seizure. Obviously, everybody was going crazy. Everybody was running around trying to figure out what was happening. I was rushed to the hospital, and then it was seizure after seizure after seizure. So at 8 years old, I started this journey of epilepsy. It's been a frustrating journey, so I'm hoping that I'm talking to somebody that, maybe I can give you a little bit of hope. At one point in time, when I had babies, that's when it became the worst, because it's one thing to take care of yourself. It's another thing to know that I could hurt my babies, and I have, because I've had seizures while holding my babies. So it's one thing to know as a mother that you have to protect your babies from yourself by taking care of myself whenever I'd have seizures. So this is something that has been hurtful in my life, to have epilepsy and to go through this. But about 10 years ago, it got to a level where I couldn't really function very much. And I kind of, when you have epilepsy, you kind of learn to hide things from the doctors. You don't say things to the doctors. You definitely don't let people know what's going on. And it was actually a little bit more than 10 years ago. It was about 12 years ago. I went to the doctor and I actually told him the truth, which is a big thing. Because when you have epilepsy, they take away your driver's license. They mess with your life when you tell people what's going on. So you learn to lie when you're younger. And I went into where they do the testing, and they said that the person that was doing the testing actually had to go get the doctor because they've never seen as much seizure activity as with my brain. So they, obviously I had to be on drugs all this time. The drugs cause side effects. Anyway, to make a long story short, 10 years ago, I found a solution, and it was kind of a newer technology that was out. I think it was only about 15 years old, so it was really kind of a leap of faith that I had to do, because I didn't have a whole lot of research that I can do in it. I just had to trust that gut feeling inside that this was the right thing. It was a surgery that required them to put an implant. It's kind of like a pacemaker, but it's attached to the vagus nerve in my neck. And it was a life changer for me. And the reason why it's coming up right now is because that was 10 years ago, so now my battery was out. And I had to go in and get replaced. It electrocutes me every 5 minutes. I say that because I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get electrocuted. But it sends from the nerve, it sends a stimulator, and it kind of goes through my throat, and I could feel it, because when I'm talking, you could hear when my voice goes down, it kind of gets crackly every 5 minutes, because it does affect my voice, and it goes through my neck. I could feel it in my ear, and then you can kind of feel a sensation in my head. It does that every 5 minutes for 24 hours. And that right there has been a life changer for me. People will ask me sometimes, why do you do so much? Why, because I'll wear myself down. I'll work till all ends of the day. I'll stretch myself to the limit at all times. And I do it because I can. 10 years ago, I lived a completely different life. I had to sleep in to a certain point in the morning. Even just to leave my house, I had to wait till 9:30 in the morning, because the seizures would stop at some point in the morning, and then I could leave, but I'd still have spatial seizures all day. So people would always say it's a little bit of deer in the headlights when you talk to Amber. That's because I was having seizures all day long. So right now I do a lot because I can, because I have this implant. I'm so grateful for modern technology. Before I had the ability to do this and to get this, I swear to you, I tried out every voodoo doctor in town. If you ask me about an epileptic drug, and which are a lot of times used for depression too, I've tried all those too. I was on about 8 pills a day and still having hundreds of seizures every day. Now I'm on 2 pills a day, and I don't have any seizures. One thing that I've learned is that, being a lifelong journey for me to try to find something to help me just to see clearly. I found that if I'm persistent and I keep going and I keep moving and I keep my head up and I keep a positive attitude, things just kind of found their way. I mean, it took, 30 30 years to find its way. Maybe not 30 years because I had it 10 years ago. So about 25 years of dealing with the problem to be able to find something, but eventually it showed, and it's been life-changing, game-changing for me. If you're somebody that's struggling with epilepsy, I know that it's a lonely world out there. Like, it is a lonely world. A lot of times you can look at things and you just don't even know, how people are going to look at you, how people are going to feel about you. Heaven forbid a seizure happens and you're somewhere, or you lose something, you drop something. If you have babies, it's another struggle. There's so many different things that you have to think about, but keep the faith, keep the hope up. There's a way. And the reason why I'm doing this is to help you to see that, it was either something like this or brain surgery. It's kind of where they were at with me. There's options out there. So just keep your hope up and keep going. Just keep going. There's so many things that if I look back that I learned through epilepsy. My persistency that I have in life didn't just come. It's because I had to learn how to walk when I should have been laying down. The next day I would always, it didn't matter. When you have a grand mal, your brain is complete mush afterwards. And so when I was a little kid, it used to take a month to recover from a seizure. When I got older, I learned how to do it in a day. And it was hard. It was mind over matter, completely mind over matter. But it can be done. So just keep up. It's making you stronger, and it's making you learn how to be persistent in life. And you want to think that it's kind of your trial in life. It's really teaching you how to be a stronger person. If this video inspires you, I would love to hear your story. Maybe just leave a comment below. I would love to keep the communication open. It's something that sometimes you just need a friend to talk to that understands the same language you do.